fantastic, that soundtrack. It's right up there with Boogie Nights as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so we're going to wait a couple minutes for some people to show up. We have Diana Edelman on deck here to talk about social media and how, as a brand owner or a small restaurant, you can dramatically impact your outreach and your visibility with social media with just a couple minutes a day. I'm going to start about 3 more minutes. So, actually, Ramon, this is for you. I'm going to Supplier Summit 2022. We're going to be starting in a few minutes, but we wanted to wait for the rest of the group to join us. So I want to ask you a few questions, kind of get a feel for where you're at with your social media and what it is that you're doing or not doing, because this talk is going to be about, it's going to land on the 30 for 30 challenge, which is a product that Diana created, which prompts you to learn how exactly what to do on a day-to-day basis, so you don't have that feeling of overwhelm of like, what am I supposed to post today? What am I supposed to do? It's intended for brand owners. It's intended for restaurant brands. It's pretty universal. I've used it myself and have gotten a consistent growth in my account. I'm somewhere over 5,000. But Diana's used this exact same methodology to grow her account to 25,000, which is an extraordinary reach with a high level of engagement. Now, engagement is super important. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Diana from Vegans Baby, thank you so much for coming on and lending your expertise and your time. I'm so excited to chat with you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Thank you. I'm so glad you can make it. So what are we talking about today? What's the value of social media for a brand? What kind of consulting do you do?
Well, the value of social media for a brand is, it is so necessary for brands to have social media. And so I work with brands to help guide them to create content and help get their brand out into the internets, and ultimately bring them more revenue. Okay.
So what are some of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to social media for brands? And by brands, I mean restaurant. I mean any brand. I mean, like, whether it's CPG, whether it's a restaurant, whatever. What are the biggest misconceptions?
I think there's a few. One is that you don't necessarily need it. That as long as you have a website, you're set, which is completely false. Nowadays, we've become a society that is so driven visually and needs to be completely entertained at all times. You have to be on social media. You have to be creating reels. You have to be showing off who you are and what you do and why people want to be supporting you. So I think that's the biggest one. Another really big misconception is that you have to be really good at it or everything has to be perfectly polished. And nowadays that's not true. Anyone can pick up their phone and put up a post. Anyone can pick up their phone and shoot a quick reel. You don't have to be an editor. You don't have to be a videographer. You just got to grab your phone and do it. So I think those are the two biggest misconceptions.
Okay, so what is one thing that a brand can do today, like in the next 10 minutes to help their brand on social media?
Grab their phone, flip it towards them, hit record, and introduce yourself and say who you are and what you do and why people should care about you. It'll take you a minute. Throw on some little music in the background. Type a little caption introducing yourself with a call to action like follow for more, or if you're selling something, check out my catalog, etc., etc. Research a couple hashtags and hit publish.
Okay, so let's say you're in sales and you are relatively introverted. How do you develop inbound interest into yourself and your brand? Which comes first, your brand or yourself?
Your brand comes first, especially if you're an introvert. If you don't like being on camera, that is okay. Hopefully you have people nearby that are comfortable being on camera. And if you don't, you can still film content. You can take photos you have and turn them into reels and put voiceovers over them. If you're still shy about talking on camera without your face, you can use text overlays on your reels and write what you would like to say that way. And then the caption is always good too. But being an introvert doesn't need to hold you back from creating the content you need on social media to grow your brand and succeed.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Frank and David. Thank you guys for joining the Supplier Summit. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat and I'll be sure to ask Diana. If you didn't hear the beginning, Diana is an expert in social media brand building for brands and for restaurants. And she is here to lend her expertise, especially with a specific 30 for 30 challenge that she's developed with 30 days of prompts and content to help you get to where you need to be to answer the questions that are happening inside of your customer's head. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see brands making on social media?
Oh gosh. One is not having a bio that's searchable. Instagram kind of looks at Instagram as like a Google, but specifically for Instagram. So if you have a bio with no text, if you have a bio that doesn't have your keywords of what you want people to be typing in to find you, you're not going to get found. So one of the biggest mistakes is that brands, businesses aren't taking advantage of that real estate on their bio. And I have a mini course that we're going to be offering. It's a 3x3. And this is one of the courses that teaches you how to create a compelling bio. So that's one mistake. Another mistake is just tossing up stuff that doesn't look good. Instagram is a visual platform. So if you're putting up, let's say you have a photo of it, but it's really dark and you can't see anything, or the angle's bad, or there's a million things going on in the photo, you're not going to get people to stop and look at it or read the caption or engage with it. And so I think that's a really big mistake, is people are just tossing things up without thinking about how it looks. You always want to keep that in mind. Another mistake I see brands make is not engaging. You can't grow without being discovered, without engagement, and without creating content that looks good and is compelling. Engagement is huge. I've worked with so many brands where I come in and I go through their DMs and they haven't responded to a single DM in a year. Or I look at their comments and everyone commented, or people have asked questions and there's no responses. And so to me, as a consumer, that just looks like someone's tossing things up but isn't engaged, doesn't care, is just doing it because they have to, versus doing it to build a community, grow their business, and make sales. So those are the biggest things I notice that just really hurt your brand.
That seems like insanity to me. So I'm just trying to put my head in the shoes of the restaurant owner or the brand owner. And you spend all this time and energy building a product that people could possibly want to discover. And then they finally discover you, and then you ghost them. What kind of shit is that?
It's honestly, it's insane. Like, I've worked with so many restaurants, and when I go in and I'm like going through and auditing them and creating and like starting to create their content and everything. And I look back and there's literally messages that are 180 weeks old asking if they have gluten-free options, and no one's responded to them. Because I think, especially with restaurants, with any brand, like, you're focusing on growing your business. You're focusing on the things that you see immediately that will make you money. But they forget often that social media is a huge driver of business. And so they do what they have to do. They toss things up so they have a presence, but then they leave it. And there's all this low hanging, they're just leaving. And they're not going to get a customer out of that. They're not going to get business out of that. They're going to get people to be like, I've been there, or I looked at their photos, I wanted to go in, but like, I don't know if they have that's gluten-free. So I'll go somewhere that I know what the options are. So to me, it's crazy, but the people that are in business are doing what they're good at, and it might not be social media, but it's so important to take 30 minutes a day to do this. You only need 30 minutes a day to respond to things, to engage with your customers, to answer these questions, to build a loyal customer base. And it's so often just like,
right. That's insanity. All right. Everybody, would you mind putting in the chat how often you're posting? Is it once a day, once a week? Is it never? Is it how many months? Is it several months in between? If it is there, what's stopping you? What is it that you feel is a roadblock to actually getting this messaging out there? See, I feel like the person comes first before the brand, because people don't buy things from people that they don't know, like, and trust. But it's a complex thing. The life of a supplier rep or a brand owner, whether it's a restaurant or a brand, is like they are constantly busy. The work will never be done. Like, if you're a bricklayer, you see a wall at the end of the day. If you're a brand owner or if you're a restaurant, then you don't typically see the products of your work unless you see the butts and seats, and people
Yeah.
typically aren't measuring it anyways. Is there a magic bullet that brands can do to grow quickly?
There's not necessarily a magic bullet other than just be consistent. I see so many people that like promote these Instagram growth hacks or like these hashtags will bring you 1 million followers. And it's just not true. Instagram especially and TikTok, all of them are constantly changing their algorithms. So there isn't like a magic bullet that's going to make you successful. What's going to help is posting content that is discoverable, content that is engaging, and content that looks good. And those are the things. And it's posting it consistently. If you post once a month, that's not going to help you. You don't have to post 5 times a day. You don't even have to post once a day, but you need to post regularly to show proof of life and show that you are engaged with your community.
Proof of life. That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. I guess it is really very much it's so funny. It's like they can see that you exist, but they don't know if you're alive.
Exactly.
All right. So can brands use social media as a selling tool?
Absolutely. 100%. Yes, they can. I mean, you have so many opportunities to sell as a brand on social media. The Instagram gives you a ton of different ways. You can have a shop, you can have direct messages, you can have contact forms, you can have links to things that build your brand and make money. Yeah, there's tons of things.
Well, why aren't people using it? Why aren't people considering inbound DMs, as you mentioned before, as qualified leads? I mean, they seem like that. If they're taking the time and energy to reach out to you in a DM, then wouldn't it make sense for them to give you a meeting if you showed up?
Yeah, 100%. But I think the problem is a lot of brands just don't have the time, the space, the bandwidth to take those leads and turn them into something, because social media has never really been that place. Up until a few years ago, it was just a place to look at pretty photos. And now it's people do business via DMs. I get messages all the time from brands that want to work with me, and it's through DMs. As a social media manager, I see messages come through every day, multiple times a day, to brands asking, for a link to their products or questions about their products. These are people that are interested in purchasing what they sell, and they're just being left on the table because I don't think that it's really clicked into people's heads yet that this is a money-making tool. It's just you're converting a little bit differently than you would by going and having an in-person meeting with somebody and like qualifying a lead that you would normally qualify versus someone coming to you and saying, hey, look, this is what I want.
Okay, let's say you're a brand owner or you're managing a brand. Let's say it's a hyper, very small, very delicious French beer or cider.
Uh-huh.
What do you do? What channels do you think would be most effective for that particular product? TikTok,
Instagram.
TikTok. Why TikTok?
TikTok, because TikTok is the future. TikTok is, I think, past Google and searches now. So TikTok is definitely a place you want to be. You can put the same content on TikTok as Instagram. You can certainly do that. TikTok's a little bit more condensed though, like you don't have a big caption to put everything, whereas Instagram, if you're putting up a reel on Instagram, they give you tons of space to write something. But you want to be on TikTok and you want to be on Instagram. You want to be showing, like, if you're pouring an amazing beer, you want to maybe have testimonials of people trying the beer, maybe have like a beautiful slow-mo pour of the beer being poured into a glass. You want to maybe have like a meet the beer maker profile where it's a quick video of the person talking about it. There's a lot of different opportunities you have to promote this. And then in terms of like engagement, you want to be following people that would buy your beer. So if there's influencers that talk about beer, follow them, engage with them. If there's media that talks about beer, follow them, engage with them, comment on their posts, and start conversations with these people. And then they're going to click on your profile and see you, follow you, and hopefully that will turn into a sale.
Okay, so Roman is talking about how he posts relatively irregularly, like once a week on average. And he says that the things that are holding him back are time, habit,
Yep.
budget for content consistency.
Mm-hmm.
How much money does he need to be famous on TikTok?
To be famous on TikTok, I think honestly these days you just have to get one good video to go viral, and get the right audience.
Okay, how do we get there? Like, what's one thing that he can do on a day-to-day basis that takes 5 minutes or less to get there?
Post reels, post a reel. There's so many like trending videos now. To find a trending sound, it's very easy these days. If you follow like Instagram trend hashtags or something, it'll show up right in your For You page, and pop one of those audios in with a little text overlay of whatever the topic is that you want to talk about. That's the quickest way, is to hit the trend pieces, but obviously people aren't going to follow you for the trend pieces. They're going to follow you for what you're selling and what you're offering them. So it really is just telling your brand story in as many ways as possible. And 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. This doesn't have to be something that's going to take all of your time, because Lord knows everyone has other things to worry about than social media. Unless you're hiring someone to do your social media, you really only need 30 minutes a day. And it's just setting that time in your calendar every day to do it. I created the 30 by 30 challenge that literally has 30 prompts for 30 days. It's designed to build your brand and grow engagement. So if you can dedicate 30 minutes a day, including like shooting the content or shooting the photos and then throwing it up there, like you will see your numbers grow. You will see engagement.
Okay, so in the last couple months / year, all the platforms have kind of been moving toward a TikTok model.
Yes.
And like this, you're talking about short vertical videos.
Yep.
So that and I think Instagram Reels was a response to TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And now YouTube has Shorts.
Yep.
And all this is kind of doing what Snapchat did 3 years ago.
Yes.
So how do you feel about content repurposing and using the exact same content from one platform to the next?
I think it's fine. Some people will tell you otherwise, especially if you don't have time to be creating multiple different things for multiple channels. All you need is one. Throw it up on each one. Your audiences are going to be different. TikTok skews younger. Instagram is more like millennials, and Facebook is baby boomers. So those are your audiences: Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, baby boomers, and I guess Gen X is probably Facebook as well. So you can repurpose it. You just want to use an app to take out the watermark, because you do get dinged on all the platforms if the watermark is from not their app. So there's it's a website called SnapTik or Snap Insta that will remove the watermark from Instagram and TikTok, so you can upload it to other platforms. And that's what I use to get that watermark out. And then you just upload it to other platforms and put together a quick caption. You can write a little bit longer description in YouTube, which is great. TikTok's the shortest description, so you really want to keep it just to searchable words like French beer New York or something like that, with like something cute. And then Instagram, obviously, you can write a lot and talk more about your brand, and like have the calls to action in that.
Right. Okay. So speaking of calls to action, I wanted to go through some of these prompts from the 30 for 30. You have a couple different versions of these. One of them is for restaurant owners. The other one are restaurant managers, GMs, etc. One of them is for supplier reps. And then the other one is and one of them is for agencies and influencers. So I'm just going to read a couple of these prompts. And this is a drip fed content that the 30 for 30 is 30 days in 30 minutes a day. But you have a free course that does 3 days of what you do in basically 5 to 10 minutes a day. But I'm going to go through some of the prompts from the 30 for 30. And this is, I think this is set for brands or restaurants. So one of the prompts, day 6, for instance, is it's time for teamwork. While you're meeting with your clients today and doing tastings, this is for brand reps. It's time for teamwork while you're meeting with clients today and doing tastings. Grab one of your many customers to shoot a quick, one of your happy customers to shoot a quick 20-second reel. You want them to share why they love working with you. Be sure to add text to the reel that includes their name, business, and what products they get from you. The problem that we're addressing here is that the audience doesn't know about all the amazing work that you do or who you work with. The solution is you're using a testimonial to build credibility and showcase your products and company being in demand across town. Now, this demand can be real or can be artificial or implied. So if you want more, get it. what you're doing here is you're building social proof. And what I think most people do is take this for granted. They say like, okay, well, what I'm doing is not important. It's not interesting. But you know, what I understand you're saying is like, let the market decide what is interesting and just get it out there.
Yeah.
So like conversations in motion create emotion, right? This is a classic sales line. And if you are selling anything, whether it's a plate of pork chops or if it's a bottle of rum, you know, people do not buy things from people that they do not know, like, and trust. Yeah. And chances are, if you are not, I mean, can you speak about imposter syndrome for real quick?
Oh, what do you want me to say about that one? That's a good one, because I think we all have imposter syndrome, you know? It's just, you are the expert in what you do. Full stop, end of day. Like, you are where you are because you're good at what you do. Don't let imposter syndrome get to you. People, like, what you put out there is what people know. So if you approach it as, I am an expert in this, you are an expert in this. No one knows any different. So that is who you are. Do not let imposter syndrome get you down, because there's always going to be someone that you're going to compare yourself to. I mean, I know for me, like, imposter syndrome is a big thing. Like, you just have to let it go and just know and trust that, like, you're good at what you do and your why is what makes you special.
Okay, why? In the 30 for 30, you come back to why a lot. Like, why are you doing this and explaining why? And again, we're talking about 1 minute video, 1 minute or less video. So it's not like you're writing a magnum opus here. So another question we got in the chat is, do you create straight on app or through third-party creators? What kind of tools do you use to create this content?
So it depends. Like, if I have content that I'm going to have a voiceover and music, I'll create straight in the app. If I have content where it's me talking and then like shots and stuff, but there's background noise, I'll create in another program called InShot, where you can actually mute certain clips. So that way there's like, if it's like, I'm at a restaurant talking about a restaurant and then I cut to like showing food being made, but you hear me in the background being like, lift it up really slowly or something, like, I'll mute that out so you don't hear it.
Yeah. I mean, just to go further back, like, Roman, if you're posting once a week, maybe just master the basics and don't get fancy, don't get cute. Maybe a follow-up question that you may have is like, should I hire an agency to do this for me? What would you say to that, Diana?
If you have a budget, yes. Because at the end of the day, the agency is going to be able to get content for you so you can do what you're good at and they can do what they're good at. So I always suggest, like, if you have the ability to bring someone on, you don't need a full-time social media person, especially if you have staff that, like, if you are a restaurant or you are a supplier, if you have someone to shoot content and not want to be on camera, you can literally just send that over to an agency and have them chop it up into reels for you, and they'll give you direction and tell you how to do it if they can't do it for you. So yeah, I think if it's something you really want to pursue and you definitely don't have time for it and you don't have someone on staff that is like excited to do it, an agency is definitely an excellent option.
Yeah, just as somebody who has hired an agency before, I'll just give you a little piece of experience here. That doesn't mean you don't have to do nothing. That doesn't mean you can do nothing. They're still going to tell you to do stuff. You still have to work. All right, so we're running out of time. And so we have this is the end of our session with Diana Edelman, who from Vegans Baby, who has created a following of over 25,000 people with just a niche blog, and her system works on basically any brand or restaurant. That's why we're so excited to have her here today. So I'm going to leave a few links in the chat. To the free challenge, which she gives you 3 days of content on exactly what to do and exactly how to do it, and 3 days that if you repeat again and again and again, you can. It's the exact same formula that she uses to build her brand. Diana, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, you covered it. If you're interested in going past that 3-day mini course, we are doing the 30 by 30 challenge. It's 30 minutes a day on social media for 30 days, and it will grow your brand.
Yeah, and if you can't spend 30 minutes a day marketing your brand, then what are you doing? What are you doing? I obsess over revenue generating activities and all this other stuff, but this is a revenue generating activity. Spend 30 minutes a day on social media, engaging, building, creating content, and you eventually get good at it. I mean, you have to make a bunch of bad ones before you make the good ones, right?
Exactly. I mean, if you saw when I first started on social media in 2009, you'd be like, what the hell? So yeah, you learn as you go.
Okay, that's it. That's all the time we have for today. But I'll see you in the next session, which is happening in 30 minutes. If you haven't signed up for an account on who'smyrep.net, it's a free account, or join the Facebook group. That's where we kind of where all the buyers and sellers meet. We have an interesting, fun new project that's going to be launching at the end of the year called the Brand Builder Mastermind. I'm excited to invite you all to that. But Diana's going to follow up with you with an email with some of the links that she talked about today. And if you'd like to work with Diana, she builds brands. She makes brands she makes brands blow up. So whether you're a restaurant brand or a spirits brand, she can help you out, and she has done wonders for my account. So thank you, Diana. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right, y'all. We'll be following up with an email, and I hope you enjoyed this first session of the first Supplier Summit. Give us a shout. Let us know how we're doing. Thanks.